Welcome back to Chrono Tales, where legends come alive and nightmares walk among us. I'm your host, and tonight we venture into the heart of the New Jersey Pine Barrens, where America's oldest monster has awakened from its slumber. This is the terrifying tale of The Jersey Devil Returns. For over 280 years, the Pine Barrens have harbored a secret. A creature born of desperation and dark magic, cursed to roam the endless forests of South Jersey. But what happens when development encroaches on ancient hunting grounds? What happens when the devil decides it's time to reclaim what was always his? Dr. Sarah Chen had spent 3 years planning the Pine Ridge housing development. As a wildlife biologist turned urban planner, she prided herself on creating communities that worked in harmony with nature. The 500-acre plot in the heart of the Pine Barrens seemed perfect. Close enough to civilization for modern conveniences, remote enough to offer the peace that city dwellers craved. Construction began in March of 2023. The first phase called for clearing 50 acres and building 25 luxury homes, each designed to blend seamlessly with the forest environment. Sarah had insisted on preserving as many trees as possible, creating winding roads that followed the natural contours of the land.
Dr. Chen, we've got a problem at the site. The crew is refusing to work after dark.
What do you mean refusing? We're behind schedule as it is.
They're saying they hear things at night. Sounds like nothing they've ever heard before. Last night, Tommy swears he saw something flying over the trees. Something big.
Rick, we're in the middle of a forest. Of course there are animals. Maybe it was an owl or a hawk.
Dr. Chen, I've been working construction in these woods for 15 years. This wasn't any bird I know. And the sounds, they don't stop all night. Like something's watching us, waiting.
Sarah drove out to the construction site that afternoon. The Pine Barrens stretched endlessly in every direction. A maze of pine, oak, and cedar trees, broken only by sandy roads and occasional bogs. It was beautiful in its wildness, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something about the forest felt different than it had during her initial surveys. The construction site was eerily quiet. Heavy machinery sat abandoned, and the partially cleared areas looked raw and wounded against the pristine forest backdrop. Sarah walked the perimeter, taking notes and photos, trying to understand what could have spooked an experienced crew. As the sun began to set, Sarah noticed something odd. The forest had gone completely silent. No bird calls, no rustling of small animals, no buzz of insects. Even the wind seemed to have stopped. It was as if the entire ecosystem was holding its breath. That's when Sarah saw the trees. 3 massive pines at the edge of the clearing bore deep gashes in their bark, not the clean cuts of construction equipment, but jagged tears that looked like claw marks. Each gouge was at least 8 feet off the ground.
What kind of animal could do this?
Sarah looked up just in time to see a shadow pass between her and the darkening sky. Whatever it was large, larger than any bird native to New Jersey. The shadow circled once, then disappeared into the deeper forest. That night, Sarah researched everything she could find about the wildlife of the Pine Barrens. Black bears were possible, but the claw marks were wrong. Birds of prey could be large, but nothing that would create marks 8 feet up a tree trunk. And then she found something that made her blood run cold. An article from the Hammonton Gazette, dated just 2 weeks earlier. Local residents report strange sightings in Pine Barrens. The article quoted several longtime residents who claimed to have seen a large, winged creature moving through the forest at night. Most dismissed it as hysteria, but one quote caught Sarah's attention.
My grandmother told me stories about the Jersey Devil when I was little. Said it would come back whenever someone disturbed its territory. It looks like someone's been doing a lot of disturbing lately.
Sarah spent the weekend diving deep into the legend of the Jersey Devil. What she found was a story that had been passed down through generations of Pine Barrens residents, growing and changing with each telling, but maintaining its essential horror. The most widely accepted version of the legend dated back to 1735. Mother Leeds, a poor woman living in the Pine Barrens, discovered she was pregnant with her 13th child. In her desperation and anger, she cursed the unborn baby, crying out that she wished it would be born a devil. According to the stories, her wish was granted. The child was born normally, but immediately transformed into a creature with hooves, leathery wings, and a horse-like head topped with horns. It killed the midwife, terrorized the family, then flew up the chimney and into the Pine Barrens, where it had been seen periodically ever since. But Sarah's research uncovered something more disturbing. The sightings weren't random, they followed a pattern. The Jersey Devil appeared during times of significant change to its territory. Major logging operations in the 1800s, the construction of the first railroads through the Barrens, the development of military bases during World War II. Each period of development had been accompanied by a wave of sightings, unexplained deaths, and construction delays. Workers would report tools going missing, equipment breaking down, and an overwhelming sense of being watched. Projects would be abandoned or moved to different locations.
Hello?
Dr. Chen, this is Walter Kowalski. I heard you're doing some research on the old stories.
I'm sorry, who is this?
I'm 83 years old. Been living in these woods my whole life. My father worked on the railroad back in 1926 when they tried to put a line through what you're calling Pine Ridge. Project got shut down after 3 men died.
Mr. Kowalski, I'm researching wildlife patterns, not local folklore.
You found those claw marks on the trees, didn't you? About 8 feet up, jagged like something was angry.
How did you know about that?
Because I've seen them before, Dr. Chen. Same marks appeared in 1973 when they tried to build a shopping center where your houses are going up. Same marks in 1989 when the state wanted to put in a new highway. The devil doesn't like his. Territory disturbed.
Walter agreed to meet Sarah at a diner in Hammonton the next morning. She found him exactly as she'd imagined. A weathered old man with intelligent eyes and hands scarred by decades of outdoor work.
My grandfather was one of the men who saw it in 1909. That was during the big sighting wave. Hundreds of people reported seeing the devil over the course of a week. Newspapers called it mass hysteria.
But you don't think it was hysteria?
Dr. Chen, I've lived in these woods for 8 decades. I know every animal, every bird, every sound the forest makes, what's out there now. It's not natural, and it's angry. Your construction crew stopped working at night, didn't they, smart man? The devil hunts at night. During the day, it stays deep in the forest, in places humans don't go. But when the sun goes down...
Mr. Kowalski, I appreciate the history lesson, but I need to focus on real solutions. My crew is spooked, and I need to get this project back on track.
Real solutions, Dr. Chen. The most real solution is to pack up your equipment and find somewhere else to build. Some places aren't meant for houses and roads.
That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Walter's words, about the pattern of sightings, about the absolute silence that had fallen over the forest. At 2:47 a.m., her phone rang.
Dr. Chen, you need to get down here right now.
Jake, what's wrong?
Something, tore apart the construction site. The machinery, the temporary buildings, everything's destroyed. And Dr. Chen, there are tracks.
Sarah arrived at the site to find chaos. The security floodlights revealed a scene of systematic destruction. Heavy machinery had been overturned, windows in the temporary office building were shattered, and metal storage containers had been torn open like tin cans.
I was doing my rounds around M when I heard this sound, like nothing I've ever heard before. Part scream, part roar, part. I don't know how to describe it.
Did you see what caused this?
I saw something flying away when I came around the corner with my flashlight. Big, really big, but the weirdest part is the tracks.
Jake led Sarah to the sandy area near the equipment storage. In the beam of his flashlight, the tracks were clearly visible, and unlike anything in any wildlife guide, They were roughly hoof-shaped but larger than any deer or horse, with what appeared to be claw marks extending from each print.
These are about 8 inches long. What kind of animal has hooves and claws?
That's not the strangest part. Look at the spacing.
The tracks were spaced nearly 6 feet apart, far too wide for any four-legged animal. But they were too regular for a bird, and birds didn't leave hoof prints. The tracks appeared to start from nowhere, as if whatever made them had landed from above, moved around the site, then taken off again. The police arrived 20 minutes later, followed by insurance investigators and a team from the county wildlife office. Everyone had theories: vandals with unusual tools, a large bird that had gotten confused by the lights, even a hoax designed to shut down the development.
Roger that.
Dr. Chen will dust for fingerprints and file a report. But I have to be honest, this looks like the work of someone who really doesn't want you building here.
Officer Martinez, look at these tracks. Look at the claw marks on the machinery. What person could do this kind of damage?
Dr. Chen, in my 15 years on the force, I've learned that people can do pretty much anything if they're motivated enough. Maybe you should ask yourself who might be motivated to stop this project.
But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that no human had caused this destruction. The damage was too extensive, too precise. And the tracks. Sarah's phone buzzed. A text from Walter Kowalski. Saw the news. This is just the beginning. Meet me at the old Leeds cabin if you want answers. Sarah waited until the officials had left, then drove deeper into the pine barrens following Walter's directions. The old Leeds cabin was little more than a foundation and a few rotting timbers. But Walter was waiting for her with a camping lantern and a weathered leather journal.
This is where it all began. Dr. Chen. Right here. Mother Leeds lived on this spot in 1735.
Mr. Kowalski, I appreciate your help, but I need practical solutions, not ghost stories.
Ghost stories. January 1909. 13 people killed in a single week, all found with claw marks and bite wounds. July 1943. Construction crew building a military depot disappears overnight. May 1973. Shopping center project abandoned after equipment destroyed and tonight watchmen. Hospitalized. Every 20 to 30 years, something pushes back against human development in these woods. The newspapers call it vandalism or accidents or wild animal attacks. But the people who live here know better.
Even if I believed you, what am I supposed to do about it?
You're supposed to listen. The devil isn't evil. Dr. Chen. It's territorial. These woods have been its home for almost 3 centuries. But it's not unreasonable. There are parts of the Barrens where people have lived alongside it for generations, families who know the rules, who respect the boundaries, but your development. You're building right in the heart of its territory.
What rules? What boundaries?
Never build on high ground. That's where it roosts. Never block the old animal trails. That's how it moves through the forest. Never cut down the oldest trees. They're marked as sacred. And never, ever work at night. Your crew broke every rule in the book, Dr. Chen, and now it's angry.
A sound echoed through the forest that made both humans freeze in terror. It was part animal roar, part human scream, and part something else entirely. Something that spoke of ancient rage and primal fury.
Don't move. Don't make a sound.
Through the trees, Sarah could see a shape moving. Tall, wrong somehow, with eyes that reflected the lantern light like an animal's, but with an intelligence that was disturbingly human. The creature circled them for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. Sarah got her first clear look at it when it passed through a shaft of moonlight between the trees. It stood nearly 8 feet tall on powerful legs that ended in cloven hooves. Its torso was humanoid but covered in coarse, dark fur. Massive leathery wings folded against its back, and its head was the most disturbing feature of all. Roughly horse-shaped, but with intelligent, malevolent eyes, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. The Jersey Devil stopped directly in front of them, its glowing eyes fixed on Sarah. When it spoke, its voice was like grinding stone mixed with animal snarls.
You built in my home.
We didn't know.
300 years. I protect these woods from your kind.
We understand. We'll stop the building. We'll leave your territory alone.
Too late for promises, old man. She must choose.
The creature turned its full attention to Sarah, and she felt an alien intelligence probing her thoughts, weighing her intentions.
You study animals. You understand survival. These woods are mine, have always been mine.
What do you want?
Return the land. Stop the cutting. Stop the building, or I will stop them myself.
The Jersey Devil spread its wings to their full span, nearly 15 feet across. In the moonlight, it looked like a demon from medieval manuscripts, all shadow and menace and barely contained fury.
Your workers fear me. Good fear keeps them alive, but fear will not save them if building continues.
Dr. Chen, you need to shut down the project. This isn't a negotiation.
I can't just abandon a multi-million-dollar development because of...
The Jersey Devil's roar shook the ground and sent every bird within a mile fleeing from the trees. When the sound faded, the creature had moved closer, its breath hot and rank on Sarah's face.
You think your paper money matters. Here, your machines, your plans. Why have killed bears with these claws, torn eagles from the sky? What makes you think humans are different?
Because we can coexist. We don't have to be enemies.
Coexist. Your kind knows only taking, only consuming. You see empty land where I see home.
The Jersey Devil began pacing again, its agitation growing. Sarah could sense that the conversation was reaching a dangerous point.
Dr. Chen, agreed to whatever it wants. We can figure out the details later.
The old man is wise, but you still hesitate, still think you can find another way.
Give me time. Let me talk to my investors, find an alternative site.
Time. How much time did your machines give the deer whose trails you blocked? How much time for the birds whose nests you destroyed?
The Jersey Devil rose several feet into the air, its wings creating a wind that extinguished Walter's lantern and plunged them into darkness.
3 days. Remove. Your machines fell in your holes. Let the forest reclaim what you have taken, or I will remove them myself. Then I will not be as gentle with your workers as I have been with you.
Sarah and Walter sat in darkness for several minutes, neither speaking. Finally, Walter relit his lantern with shaking hands.
Dr. Chen, I've lived in these woods for 83 years, and that's the first time I've ever heard it speak to a human. You should consider yourself lucky.
Lucky? That thing just threatened to kill my entire crew.
No, it gave you a choice in 1909. People found the bodies before they found any warnings. You've got 3 days to make the right decision.
Sarah didn't sleep that night. She sat in her apartment, staring at the Pine Ridge development plans spread across her dining table, trying to find a solution that would satisfy everyone. Her investors, her construction crew, and a legendary creature that had just threatened to kill them all. At 6 a.m., she called an emergency meeting with her investors. The conference room at the development company was filled with men in expensive suits who saw the Pine Barrens as nothing more than a profitable opportunity.
Dr. Chen, we've invested $14 million in this project. You can't seriously be suggesting we abandon it because of vandalism and local superstition.
Mr. Jameson, this isn't superstition. There's something in those woods that doesn't want us there.
Then we call animal control. We hire security. We do whatever it takes to complete the project.
You don't understand. This isn't a bear or a wildcat. This is something that's been protecting these woods for centuries.
Dr. Chen, with all due respect, your job is urban planning, not cryptozoology. We need practical solutions.
Sarah's phone buzzed with a text from Foreman Rick. Dr. Chen, the crew is quitting. Half of them won't even come back to collect their tools. Something killed a deer last night and left it hanging from a tree right in the middle of the work site. The message is pretty clear.
Gentlemen, my construction crew has just quit. We have no workers.
Then we hire new ones. We bring in a crew from Philadelphia, people who aren't spooked by local legends.
And when something happens to them, when someone gets hurt or killed, are you prepared for that liability?
The meeting ended with the investors giving Sarah 48 hours to find a new construction crew and resume work. If she couldn't, they would find someone who could. That afternoon, Sarah drove back to the Pine Ridge site one last time. She wanted to see the damage for herself, to understand what she was really dealing with. The deer was exactly where Rick had described it, hanging from a tree branch 15 feet off the ground, positioned so that anyone entering the site would see it immediately. It wasn't just killed, it was displayed, arranged as a warning. But what struck Sarah most was how surgical the kill had been. The deer showed no signs of struggle, no defensive wounds. Whatever had killed it was fast, efficient, and powerful enough to carry a 150-pound animal up into the trees. As Sarah documented the scene, she noticed something else. The destruction from 3 nights ago hadn't been random vandalism. The creature had specifically targeted equipment that would be used for tree removal: chainsaws, bulldozers, excavators. It had left untouched the surveying equipment, the temporary office building, and anything that wasn't directly involved in habitat destruction.
It's not mindless violence. It's strategic.
A shadow passed overhead, and Sarah looked up to see the Jersey Devil perched in a tall pine about 50 yards away. In daylight, it looked even more imposing. A creature that belonged to nightmares, watching her with intelligent, patient eyes. They stared at each other for several minutes. Sarah felt no immediate threat. The creature seemed curious about what she was doing, perhaps wondering if she was documenting the damage to show her superiors, or planning new ways to circumvent its defenses.
Hello?
Dr. Chen, you need to make your decision today. Word's gotten out about what happened at your site. The old families in the Barrens are talking. Some of them think the devil should handle this the way it handled problems in the past.
What does that mean?
It means some people think talking was a mistake, that you should have been given the same warning the railroad workers got in 1926.
Mr. Kowalski, I'm trying to find a solution that works for everyone.
Dr. Chen, there is no compromise here. You either respect the devil's territory, or you don't, and if you don't, it will protect its home the way any animal protects its home, by eliminating the threat.
Sarah looked up at the Jersey Devil one more time. The creature tilted its head, almost as if it was listening to her thoughts. Then it spread its wings and glided silently deeper into the forest. That evening, Sarah made her decision. She called her investors and resigned from the project, citing safety concerns and environmental issues. She recommended relocating the development to a site outside the Pine Barrens.
Dr. Chen, you're making a serious mistake. We'll find another planner, another crew. This project will move forward with or without you.
Mr. Jameson, I strongly advise against that. Some places are better left undisturbed.
Sarah's replacement was hired within a week. Marcus Webb was a hard-driving developer from Manhattan who specialized in challenging projects. He brought in a construction crew from out of state, men who had never heard of the Jersey Devil, and didn't care about local legends. Work resumed at Pine Ridge on a Monday morning in November. By Monday afternoon, the first incident had occurred. A bulldozer operator claimed something had grabbed his machine and shaken it violently before disappearing into the trees. Marcus Webb dismissed it as equipment malfunction. By Tuesday, 3 more workers had reported sightings of a large, winged creature watching them from the tree line. Webb blamed nerves and local pranksters. On Wednesday night, the Jersey Devil made its final statement. The entire construction site was destroyed. Not just damaged, but completely obliterated. Every piece of equipment was twisted into scrap metal. The temporary buildings were reduced to splinters. And in the center of the destruction, written in claw marks 10 feet deep in the sandy soil, was a single word: mine. But this time, the Jersey Devil hadn't stopped at property damage. Marcus Webb was found at the edge of the site, alive but hospitalized with deep claw wounds and a psychological trauma that left him unable to speak coherently for weeks. The Pine Ridge development was permanently abandoned. The investors sold the land to the state of New Jersey for a fraction of its development value, and it was incorporated into the Pine Barrens Preserve, protected from future development forever. Sarah received a call from Walter Kowalski a month later.
Dr. Chen, thought you'd like to know. The old families held a meeting last week. We're putting up new boundary markers round the Devil's core territory, making sure everyone knows where not to build.
Do you think it will work? Will people respect the boundaries?
After what happened to Webb's crew, I think people will pay attention. Sometimes it takes a dramatic demonstration to make a point stick.
Today, the Pine Ridge site is overgrown with new vegetation. Trees are reclaiming the cleared areas, and wildlife has returned to the forest paths. Local hikers sometimes report seeing a large, winged shadow moving between the trees, but these sightings are peaceful, a guardian watching over its domain. Sarah Chen still works as an urban planner, but she specializes now in projects that work with natural ecosystems rather than against them. She's never seen the Jersey Devil again, but sometimes, when she's working on a project near forested land, she makes sure to research the local legends first. And that concludes tonight's journey into the Pine Barrens, where America's oldest monster still guards his ancient home. Remember, some territories are earned through centuries of vigilance, and some boundaries are written in claw marks, and defended with fire and fury. Thank you for joining me in the darkness. Until next time, respect the wild places and the things that call them home.